Okay, I'm going to show you how to make this snowflake that I made. There's like a million different ways to make a snowflake, so this is kind of what I just kind of sat down and worked this one up. So, and it's pretty easy. But the yarn I used was actually, it's Caron party yarn. It has the sequence in it. But you can use any type of 4-ply yarn that you have. But I'm actually going to do it in a different color for the video because it'd probably be hard to see that white since my desk is white. And then I used a size F, which is a 3.75 millimeter crochet hook, and you can definitely use a bigger hook if you want. It's just going to make a bigger snowflake, but this is how big this one turned out to be. You know, the size of my hand. Even with the small needle, it's still pretty large. But if you want a bigger one, you can use a bigger needle. Okay, you just want to start off with a slip knot, like always. And then you want to start with a chain of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the first stitch to form a ring. Like that. Okay, I'm going to chain 1. And now I'm going to work 12 double crochets through the center of the ring. So I'm going to yarn over and go right through the center, draw up a loop, and do a double crochet. So that's my first double. I'm going to keep going until I get a total of 12. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can slide them over if you need to. 10, 11, and 12. So there's my 12 double crochets. Now I want to go ahead and slip stitch into my very first one, and that will close that round out. The very first double crochet. Like that. And now you can pull your tail, and that'll make that circle in the center a little bit smaller. Close it up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to start off by doing a chain of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to go back into the exact same stitch that I just slip stitched into and do a double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, so I'm going right back in that same stitch and doing a double crochet. So what I just did was a V-stitch. I have a chain 4, which counts as a double crochet, and a chain 1, and then a double crochet. And you can see the V-stitch. So now I'm going to do a chain 2. 1, 2. I'm going to skip 1 stitch, and then I'm going to V-stitch in the next. So I'm going to yarn over, skip that stitch, double crochet in the next, chain 1, go back into the same stitch and do another double crochet. And that is a V-stitch. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and you can see it makes the V. Now I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, skip the next stitch and V-stitch into the next. So yarn over, skip this one, and work a V-stitch into this. So I'm going to double crochet, chain 1, and go back in and double crochet again in that same stitch. Like that. Chain 2 again. 1, 2. I'm going to skip this stitch and V-stitch into the next. So skip and V-stitch right here. So I'm going to double crochet, chain 1, go back into the same stitch, and double crochet again. And that's the pattern that I'm going to work it all the way around. So I'm going to chain 2 again, skip a stitch, V-stitch into the next. So double crochet, chain 1, go back in and double crochet again. Chain 2, skip a stitch and V-stitch into the next. Chain 1. And when you make it all the way around, you want to make sure you do your chain 2 on the last one. Skip that stitch and you'll be at the beginning again. You want to slip stitch into the third chain of this chain 4. So those 4 chains that we did in the beginning, slip stitch into the third one. Just like that. And that will complete round 2. Okay, now we're going to start again. We're going to go ahead and slip stitch over into this space right here in between these double crochets. So just go right in and slip stitch like that. Okay, I'm going to start with a chain 1. Okay, I'm going to work a single crochet into this space, a half double into the same space, a double into the same space, another double into the same space. Now on this double crochet we're going to do a picot stitch. That's where we do a chain of 3. And then we come back down and slip stitch into the top of that double crochet. And that puts a little ball on the top. Now we're going to kind of work what we just worked on this side back down. So I'm going to do another double crochet. We're working this all in the same space. A half double crochet. And a single crochet, just like that. And that is what you have in that first V-stitch. Now I'm going to slip stitch over to this next space, which is right here. Slip stitch into it. Now I'm going to work a picot in this spot right here. So I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to go and I'm going to slip stitch right here in the first chain of this chain 3. Slip stitch into it. Like that. Now I'm going to go back down and slip stitch into the spot again. A lot of slip stitching. Like that. Now I'm going to slip stitch over to this V-stitch. Like that. And now we have a picot right there by itself. So now in this V-stitch I'm going to do this again. So I'm going to start by chaining 1. And I'm going to do a single crochet. All these stitches are going to go in that same spot. A half double crochet, a double crochet, another double, and then I'm going to do the picot on this double crochet. So I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, come back down, and I'm going to slip stitch right here into the top of that double crochet. Now I'm going to work my way back down by doing a double, a half double, and a single, just like that. And that's what it's going to be put in every single V-stitch all the way around. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch over to this next space right here. It's not the V-stitch space, it's just the next space. Slip stitch over to it. Do a picot by chaining 3. 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch back into the very first stitch of that chain 3. Like that. Go back and slip stitch one more time back into this space. It kind of locks that picot stitch down when you do that. Like that. Now we're going to jump to the next V-stitch and slip stitch into it. Like that. And there you got another picot. So this is the pattern we're going to repeat all the way around. So I'm in my next V-stitch, so I'm going to start this again. Start by chaining 1, doing a single, half double, a double, another double, picot on this double, 1, 2, 3, come back down, slip stitch right into the top of it. Now we go back down, do another double, half double, and a single, like that. Okay, now the next space we're just going to do the picot by itself. So we'll jump over, slip stitch into it, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, slip stitch back into the first stitch of this chain 3. I have the hardest time working with small needles. Okay, slip stitch one more time into this spot to lock that picot stitch down. Jump over to the next V-stitch, slip stitch into it, and then chain 1 and start again. So I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way back around to the beginning. Okay, I made it all the way around. I just did my last picot stitch. And now I've got to go back down and slip stitch back into this space. Like that. Now I'm going to start by doing a chain of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I'm going to insert my hook into the middle of this top picot stitch up here. So just right through it and slip stitch. And now I'm going to do another picot on top of this picot. So I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then all I'm going to do is go back right back into the same spot I just went into the first time, the middle of the picot, and slip stitch like that. And now I'm going to chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to come all the way down here to this picot, to the slip stitch right before it where we slip stitched, and I'm going to slip stitch into that slip stitch. Like that. So that's kind of what that looks like over here. Now we're going to do another picot on this picot. So I'm going to slip stitch into the picot, insert your hook through it, slip stitch, chain 1, 2, 3, go back into the picot and slip stitch. Like that. Now I'm going to go to the side here where we slip stitched from the previous row. After we finished the picot, remember we went back into this spot and slip stitched. I'm going to slip stitch in to that spot. Like that. Chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to do a picot and on top of this picot again. So I'm going to slip stitch into the center of it. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm just going to go right back into that same spot that I slip stitched into and slip stitch again. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bring it down here, slip stitch into this slip stitch, the first slip stitch that's in this spot. Slip, and then we're going to slip stitch into the middle of this little picot. So just go right into it. Slip stitch, do another picot, 1, 2, 3, go back into it, slip stitch again. That, and now you slip stitch into the other slip stitch that's on the other side of this picot from the previous round. Slip stitch right into it. Like that. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, we're gonna do a picot stitch on top of this one. So slip stitch into it. Chain 3 and go back into it again and slip stitch, chain 5. So I'm just repeating these picots and these chain 5s all the way around back to the beginning. Okay, I'm coming around to my last, here's where I started. My last little picot down here, and I just did my chain 5. So I want to go ahead and slip stitch into the first slip stitch in this spot, just like before. Now I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into the picot stitch and do my picot, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. To it, slip stitch like that. Now I'm going to end it by just slip stitching down into this the slip stitch from this chain right here, or somewhere around the vicinity. It doesn't have to be perfect, just to tie it off there. And I'm going to pull up, clip my yarn, and then I will be done. I'm going to go ahead and hide these tails, this tail real quick, with my yarn needle. Well, I can't find my yarn needle right now, so I just kind of put the strings behind it, but that's it. Kind of just straighten it out a little bit, and that's all there is to it. This one actually turned out small, a little bit smaller than this one. I guess not a lot, but a little bit. Probably just the type of yarn I used. But I did use the same size needle. But that's it. That's all there is to it. Pretty quick and easy. You can use them as a sew them on and stuff, or you can use them as an ornament or something like that. Well, I hope you're able to follow along okay. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to check me out on Facebook. I'll put a link to my Facebook page below in the description box. And until next time. Have a good day.